Tony Dungy, the Hall of Famer from NBC, joining us on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line here on the Fan 680 and 93.7 FM, along with the Fan app. Coach, always great to have you on. Your thoughts initially on what you didn't see from the Falcons last night?
Well, I actually picked the 49ers. I did not think it was going to turn out like that. I thought it would be a high-scoring game. I thought the 49ers would use Christian McCaffrey and run right at the Falcons, and I thought they'd have a little success. Falcons had been great pass defense, but it struggled a little bit against the run. But what I did not see is that 49ers defense without Fred Warner and Nick Bosa stopping the Falcons and limiting Bijan Robinson. I didn't see that coming. I did think the Falcons had two disadvantages: playing on Monday night and taking the long road trip west. I thought would take away from their energy. Thought getting George Kittle back would help the mindset of the 49ers, and it did. But I did not see 10 points. I thought they'd score much more than that.
Yeah, well, everybody was diving for the record books when it came to McCaffrey. 14 first downs. He's part of 62%. All the numbers just played into the Falcons had enough chances to stop him, and they didn't. I want to ask you about something else. I see one of his teammates wearing a Fred Warner jersey post-game, sitting at his locker. I also then hear that Fred Warner, right after he got that surgery, was in team meetings this past week. And he's in the building last night because you guys showed him, and rightfully so. That, to me, is one of those where you go, what's the buy-in? Well, it's the buy-in of a guy who knows he's done for the year, not going to be a part of it, but he wants to be a part of it. He was also dapping everybody up, by the way, when they came into the locker room.
He was on the field pregame as well.
Yeah, he's a big energizer for that defense and a leader, and he was going to be there even though he was injured, which says a lot. George Kittle, too, you can't overestimate or underestimate the impact that had, getting him back and the mental toughness. And, hey, we've got to get this done and run the ball behind me. I'll be the point of attack blocker. They were number 30 in the league going into the game running the football. And so the thought was, well, they're not going to be able to run it. They're just not very good this year. But he missed 5 games. And when he came back, they had a different mindset.
Tony Dungy, the Hall of Famer, with us on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. When you look at the struggles of Michael Penix, it's not only on him, but is this just a young quarterback on the road on a Sunday night? He has to learn from this experience?
Yeah, he missed a couple throws that he normally hits. I didn't think he was finding his receivers, and, we couldn't see. We're in the truck, and I can't see what the things look like downfield, but it didn't look like he could just pull the trigger quickly and get the ball to the open man. I was a little surprised at some of the things that they did. I thought they should have tested that 49ers run defense a little bit more. The critical 4th and 1, they threw the ball to London. I know you want to go there. I've got Bijan Robinson. I've got Algier. I'm the number 1 running team in football. I think I'm running the ball on 4th and 1, and if not, I'm at least putting Bijan in the game to make you think I'm going to run the ball.
Wow.
They just got in the shotgun and said, hey, we're going to drop back and throw it to our number 1 receiver. I like the confidence of that, but to me, if I've built what they've built, I'm giving the ball to Bijan Robinson on a critical 4th and 1.
I'm going to give credit to Robert Saleh, but also to Chase Lucas, the player. Chase Lucas postgame said, I knew what they were running. I knew it. We had it in our tape. We had it in our cut-ups that's what he was going to run. So that's good coaching, and that's good execution by a player. Now, if I'm, and I don't want to do this, but if I'm Raheem Morris and I get asked about that again today, I'm going to say that I wasn't kicking a 23-yard field goal. We were going for it on 4th and 1 because it looked like the 53-yarder. You're supposed to be able to sort of make that one. I think he better stick to his guns and say, no, 4th and 1, we're not kicking field goals there. We're going for it.
No, and that's what they did, and being on the road, and I had no problem with that. As a defensive coach myself, I would have probably said, hey, let's kick this field goal, tie the score up, and let our defense go to work. But I get it, and you have confidence in your team. My problem and my question was, why is Bijan Robinson not in the game? He's the number 1 rusher in the NFL at this point. It's 4th down and 1. I'm either going to give him the ball with my best play and go behind my best ball carrier. But if not, if I want to do something else, I'm going to have him in the game. I'm going to fake the ball to him and let everybody think he's getting it and then go to my guy. I was just shocked. When they came out in the shotgun in 4th and 1, I was shocked.
And that's been a recurring thing. We've talked about that here, not under center. How quickly did you know, because you weren't in the booth calling the game, how quickly did you know there were 10 men on the field on that play?
I really didn't know until after it happened, and that was the critical play in the game. And, you've got to stop them and force a field goal there. Then you can win it with one score. And I was just shocked that McCaffrey was that wide open. That was my original thought. How does the number one guy get that wide open? And obviously the guy who was supposed to cover him wasn't in the game.
Take us through protocol as a head coach. When there's 12 men on the field earlier on that drive, 10 men a little bit later on, what's your checklist as that's happening play to play?
Well, that is on. I mean, you're watching the substitutions, and you know who's supposed to come off and who's supposed to go on. Jeff Ulbrich calls the defensive personnel, whatever they call it, kings, queens, knights, base, nickel, whatever. And so you know who's in there, and you're watching and see if everybody comes off. Now, what happens sometimes is a guy gets nicked up. Joey's supposed to be in, but he's hurt, so Johnny's the nickel back now, and sometimes you may not know that. But you got to know when you have too many guys in and not enough. And Raheem said it in his press conference. That's on the head coach, and it is. You've got to call timeout. You've got to make sure that you've got the right personnel in there.
I'll ask the dumbest question of all. Does safety still count bodies on plays like that?
Not always, but you know who's supposed to be in the game. And if they call nickel and your nickelback's not in, you know it. Sometimes the 12 men can be a little, that can be a little hairy because somebody's supposed to leave and maybe they don't. But I think I would know if I was a safety if we only had 10 guys out there and the critical guy wasn't there.
And that's the perfect. I'd call a timeout. If anybody wants to complain about a timeout there, no, you're trying to win the football game by making sure they don't get a first down.
Yeah. You have to because the rest of the timeouts don't matter once they make that first down, and it's just something you don't expect. Those are the little details, though. Our Super Bowl that we won in Indianapolis, we're playing New England, and they had just stopped us. There's 2 minutes left in the game. If they make one first down, they're going to win the game and run the clock out. And they have too many guys out there. The fullback thought he was supposed to be in the game, and he wasn't. They got a 12-man penalty. They made 12 yards, but it ended up being 4th and 3 because of the penalty. And otherwise, New England would have gone to another Super Bowl and won it, and we wouldn't have. And it's just simply a guy not being, or he was out there when he wasn't supposed to be, and the quarterback not recognizing, not saying, hey, you've got to be on the sideline. And that little details can win or lose games for you.
Tony Dungy with us on the Loud Security Systems Newsmaker line. We had Chris Sims. We had Phil Sims, not your coworker Chris Sims. Mm-hmm. Phil Sims on a couple of weeks ago, and he said the one thing that he watched on tape with Michael Penix was his footwork. That needs to improve. Are you seeing the same thing from the young quarterback?
We had them in Minnesota. And everyone talked about how they were going to do things and get rid of the ball quick against the Brian Flores defense. They said they had no question Penix was going to have a great night because he delivers the ball quickly, makes quick decisions, and he did that night. His footwork was good. He got the ball out of his hands. He didn't hold it. And in this game last night, I saw him holding the ball, and maybe that's leading to some footwork problems that Phil's describing. I didn't see it the first night. I saw a little bit of it last night.
If you were playing the Falcons this week, are you working on sending an extra guy to muddy up a pocket or to make his life a little bit more miserable after this game?
Not necessarily. What I'm doing, and I think they did a pretty good job of it, I'm going to try to take away Drake London and do the best I can with Bijan. I noted that on our pregame show that in their passing game, over 50% of the targets were going to London and Bijan. So going in, those are the two guys. If it's an obvious passing situation, that's who I have to stop. The 4th and 1 play, again, Bijan's not in the game. So, and they're in the shotgun. There's only one guy I have to stop. because I know where the quarterback's going. So I think that's what Atlanta has to do a better job, spreading the ball around and not relying so much on Drake London. And then on the other side of the ball, somehow they've got to shore up that internal run game. If you go sideline to sideline, they're fast, they run you down, you don't get much going. But they've got to bow up and be physical on those teams that are going to try to run it right at them. I thought Buffalo in the Monday night game showed that, did it, but didn't stay with it enough with James Cook. Well, now teams see, hey, Cook had success, McCaffrey had success running right at us. That's going to be the game plan for the next couple of weeks against the Falcons defense.
We sit here doing this job and we go, okay, what's my head say? What's my heart say? What's realistic? Am I going to be over the top, overreactionary? They have 11 football games left, but I'm already looking at the Bears who won 4 in a row. Like, I'm starting to look at the NFC, and I know as a coach you don't do that, and I know it's dumb for me to even do that. But if I look at the shortcomings and I try to figure out who in the NFC is playing better football, who I need to play not good football, I've absolutely turned into what I hate a lot of the times, but there is this reality that I'm trying to figure out what other people are going to be, because it might not just be about how good I am.
Well, and I think that is the silver lining for the Falcons, because Rodney Harrison and I talk about it every week. We watch them all. We analyze everything at the end of the night on our postgame show. There is nobody who's playing dominant football. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Chiefs were in the Super Bowl last year. They looked like really good teams this week. 2 weeks ago, they didn't, either one of them. And everybody's like that. We have a podcast where we say, well, who's the best team in football? And every week it changes. And I don't think we're seeing consistent, good football from really anybody. The 49ers were out there, and all the newspapers and the media and the talk shows, oh, we're terrible, we can't run the ball, we're playing a backup quarterback, we don't have Fred Warner. And their players are saying, hey, wait a minute, we're 4-2, we're tied for first place, we're not terrible. Well, that's how it goes. It's so up and down based on your last performance, and we haven't seen the team really put 4 or 5 weeks together where you say, oh, okay, this is legit. So I think the Falcons are in the middle tier of teams that are going to be contending for a playoff. Can they play consistent ball and get a 6-8 game stretch where they do what they do and not have a Carolina game or a 49ers game? Just play Falcons football week in and week out. They're going to win enough games to be in the playoffs if they can do that.
Can I ask, will the Indianapolis Colts actually become the best team on the podcast this week?
I think they probably will. I'm worried about their corners. They've had a lot of injuries there. Justin Herbert threw for over 400 yards against them, but their offense is playing very, very consistently. They're not making mistakes. They're scoring. They've got a lot of weaponry. They believe in themselves, and nobody else has really played to that level week in and week out. So I think I might have to put them there for now, but they still haven't knocked off those real good teams, and that's what I'm going to want to see.
Well, I'm sure the Dolphins aren't going to be that team. That's who the Falcons see next. And I know you just said it, nothing's a given in the NFL, but you got to win this game if you're the Falcons, do you not?
You have to. Yes, you do. You've got to shut that offense down, and then you've got to, to me, get back to what you do. And we saw Quinshon Judkins just rip the Dolphins defense up. And so if you don't get Bijan Robinson and Algier and have a 200-yard running game, I'll be very disappointed.
All right. I'll ask, because what the hell, it's a Monday. You've gone 6 quarters scoring 1 touchdown. You're supposed to beat Miami. We all sit in agreement. If it's a bad first half and the quarterback is not playing well and the offense is not good and you got a touchdown in 8 quarters, tell me I'm overreacting if I say, am I supposed to see Kirk Cousins?
No, I don't think that would be a good move. I think you've got to ride with this young man and get through this. Offensively, we've got to score. There's no question about it. We can't have the red area mistakes. We can't have the delay of game. We can't have the intentional grounding. We can't miss the 4th and 1. Those are the things that are getting us. We're moving the football. We're going to be a running team. We're going to build off that and throw our play action and throw our quick game. We've got to get everybody involved. I don't think the quarterback is the whole problem, but they've got to be better, especially inside the 30-yard line.
Tony, can I ask, I know when you were in Pittsburgh, Nick and I have talked about it. We've talked about it with you. I wouldn't want to make a mistake and have to go back to the huddle with Lambert and Mel Blunt or anybody
take your
else.
Pick.
But
any of those guys.
You lived in the middle of that. Did you honestly believe that on Sunday when your game ended, whoever your next opponent was, kind of went to their practice that week knowing they weren't going to beat you guys? Is that a real thing?
We felt that way, no question about it. And we felt we were going to practice well enough and execute well enough that nobody was going to beat us. And that came from our coach, that came from the veteran leadership, that carried over. And we developed that in Indianapolis the same way. You get that belief that, hey, we know what we're doing. Somebody's going to have to really come in here and be very, very good to out-execute us if we don't beat ourselves. And so that was our mantra in Pittsburgh. Let's not beat ourselves, and we shouldn't lose many.
Yeah, we say this all the time. 1 week to get ready for a team is not really a lot of time. It's 2.5 days on the field, and if you're good at a few of the aspects of this game, you just made it really difficult for coordinators that week. And isn't that like when you know you're in a really good place as an NFL team? We've just made their week miserable because they don't have the answers for us.
Yeah, we had two signs in our locker room when I was the head coach for 13 years in Tampa and in Indianapolis, and they were very simple. The first one was expectations, execution, no excuses, no explanations. And that kind of said it all. We got to think like champions, act like champions, practice like champions, and there are no excuses. And that John Lynch, we had him on our broadcast last night after the game, and that was their mantra. Hey, we don't have Fred Warner, we don't have Nick Bosa, we don't have Brock Purdy. No excuses. The next guy's got to go up and play. So that was it. And then the other sign was do what we do. And it doesn't matter who we play, doesn't matter what they bring to the table. We're focused on us. If we practice well, if we execute well, if we don't make mistakes, we're going to beat these other teams. They've got to deal with us. And I think that's the championship mentality you want to develop in your locker room.
Do coaches sometimes outsmart themselves? You know, you bring up Bijan not being on the field on fourth down. If something's working, go with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess that grumpy old man when I watched games, and I said, what are you doing? And I was saying it last night. These offensive coaches, you don't have to call every play on your play sheet. If you call a play and they don't stop it, there's nothing wrong with running it again to see if they can stop it. But we have these guys that I've got 75 plays on my sheet. I've got to dial them all up, and I've got this play for this certain situation. No, don't make it harder than it is. It doesn't have to be a hard game.
Yeah, as a baseball fan, as a pitcher, sometimes I am going to double up on the curveball because you look like you can't handle it right now. And how much does clock management stuff drive you crazy when you're sitting there watching these games?
Well, I just, that too, to me, is just fundamental football. Now, head coaches have a lot more to worry about now, and challenge flags and, all of those kind of things. But simple clock management, again, we were talking about that on the show because we were watching we're commenting on the Denver Giants game. The Giants are up 26-8, and then Denver scores. So it's 26-16. They're still up 10 points. They've got 5 minutes to go in the game. They're up 10, and they have the ball. They took 27 seconds off the clock and threw an interception. And I'm sitting there to myself, how in the world do you do that? Don't you tell your quarterback when you go out there, hey, we've got to use the whole 40-second clock. We've got to stay in bounds. We can't have penalties. We can't stop the clock in any form or fashion. We make a couple of first downs running the ball, the game's over, and you can't throw it in. Whatever you do, we've got to punt it to the other end. And so I don't know how they only burned 27 seconds off on their first and second down plays, and then you throw an interception. It just can't happen, and that's just simple game management, clock management, and those are the elementary things that I think we overlook at times.
Have you heard of the Allen Houston rule in the NBA, where you sort of get it's sort of the simplest explanation is you can get out from under a bad contract.
You still have to pay the guy, but it doesn't count against the cap.
What do you think? And I'm thinking about quarterbacks. Do you think every 3 or 4 years you should be able to pull an Allen Houston rule in the NFL? Everybody gets one every 3 or 4 years. I got to get out from under this. I made a mistake. I got to pay the guy, but I just got to get out from it from a cap point of view.
No, I like the salary cap because it does force you into long-term decisions. And I think teams make short-term decisions. And to me, you have to live or die with that. And you need to be cognizant of that. And you need to know that it can come back to bite you. And Bill Polian, my general manager in Indianapolis, he always had a saying, and we stuck with it. You draft for need, you pay special. So if you have special, and it is special, and we all agree on it, then you pay. If you don't have special, you draft. And you can't say, well, I've got to pay this guy because he's our quarterback or he's our left tackle or he's this. If he's not special, you can't pay. And I think some of these teams have gotten into the habit of, gosh, we need it, so we better pay. And that's the wrong approach, in my opinion.
So special is a little bit fewer and far between than perhaps the first and the 15th dictate.
Absolutely. We had a situation our Super Bowl year. Edgerrin James, Hall of Fame running back, most popular player in the locker room. He was coming up for free agency. And Bill told me, hey, we can pay him and what he deserves, and he deserves it. He's great. But if we pay him, we won't have, in the future, we won't be able to re-sign Dallas Clark, Reggie Wayne, and Dwight Freeney. So, Coach, you got to make a decision. As much as it hurt me, I said, we've got to let Edgerrin go. It was a good year for the draft and running backs. Hey, we're going to get Maurice Jones-Drew, or we're going to get Joseph Adai. And so we let Edgerrin go. We drafted Joseph. He played excellent football for us. Was he Edgerrin James? No. Was he $20 million less? Yes. We re-signed those other three guys, and the Colts were contenders for the next 5 years. Those are decisions you have to make, and they hurt sometimes, and they're not always easy, and they're not always great in the short term. Edgerrin was going to be much better coming out of the gate for us than a rookie running back, but Joseph learned. He did his job. He got us to the Super Bowl, and it was a tough decision, but it was the right one.
And now you got a young team, the Falcons. Hopefully they learn from what didn't happen and what they didn't do last night. Tony Dungy, always great having you on. Hopefully we'll catch up again real soon. Always a pleasure.
All right. Thank you, guys. And we'll get those Falcons going. Don't get down on them just after one game.
Write this down, because this is not a celebratory Monday. Usually
we're used to them. We've been spoiled.
Yeah, we've been a little bit spoiled, so it doesn't feel like that. So I say that one more time. I'm going to write it down.
These are games you learn from, and if you're a good team and a good organization, you learn and you grow from it, and you'll be back. And I think the Falcons will. I really do.
Words of wisdom from the coach. Tony Dungy, thanks again.
All right, guys.